England started exploring in the end of the 16th century.
I, Elizabeth I, funded the exploration. They even named it Virginia, after me and my virginity. They also named the first city of Jamestown after, you guessed it, James.
The first thing they did was go to India, but the Dutch arrived at the same time.
Those balmy Dutch drove us out of the spice trade and restricted us to a single port on the southern coast of Sumatra, Indonesia. I mean, what the bloody hell were they thinking?
Okay, English presence in India increased steadily in the 17th century because the Dutch left India, but right as they did, the French tried to gain control.
Well, the French are rubbish.
Elizabeth. However, by 1650, English trading posts had been established in Surat, Fort Williams, and the Madras. The French government not wanting to pay for French military in India, the English's growing power, and the 7-Year War all contributed to the French leaving India.
Our ships carried Indian-made cotton goods to the East Indies, where they were bartered for spices, which were shipped back to England, obviously the best country in the world.
In Bengal, the local ruler had attacked Fort William and imprisoned the local British population.
We would have been in a predicament if it weren't for Robert Clive, our extraordinary general. He stopped the local leader and saved the prisoners.
Not only were they making great success in Asia, but the British were making great progress in the New World too. In 1664, the English seized the colony of New Netherlands.
Oh yes, I love New York. That is what we named the New Netherlands after we conquered it. It was named after the Duke of York.
They operated through the East India Company, which served as both a trading unit and the administrator of English territories in Asia. The English also established their first trading post at Canton, China in 1699. Over the next several decades, trade with China, notably the export of tea and silk to England, increased rapidly.
By the end of the 17th century, we had replaced those stupid Portuguese as the dominant force in European trade. Ha! Take that, Henry! We also had control of most of the eastern coast of America.
Oh my gosh, Elizabeth, you're the queen. Stop being so annoying. Be more professional. Anyway, the British tricked the Portuguese into allowing them into the lucrative Brazilian trade. They also entered into Spanish-American markets in 1713 when the British were granted the privilege known as asentio.
Asentio is the transportation of 4,500 slaves a year to Spanish Latin America. We were doing so well! By 1750, we had 1.5 million people living in our 13 colonies.
True, but moving on. Robert Clive once again succeeded in 1757 when he led a small British force and defeated a Mughal-led army more than 10 times its size in the Battle of Plassey. The victory was very important for Britain. It meant that British were now able to tax lands around Calcutta through the Mughal court. However, by 1793, the Chinese had restricted trade to only an island. This caused Lord Macartney to lead a British mission to Beijing to press for liberalization of trade restrictions. But the Emperor expressed no interest in British products.
I would make the Chinese pay for that later.
Elizabeth. The English had developed plantation economies worked by African slaves which produced tobacco, cotton, coffee, and sugar. By the early 18th century, sugar was Britain's main export for the American colonies.
In fact, by the end of the century, the British colony of Jamaica, one of Britain's most important, was producing 50,000 tons of sugar annually, with the slave labour of 200,000 blacks. Happy?
Yes, that's much more professional. Okay, so that's everything you guys need to know. Thanks, Elizabeth, for all that amazing insight on England.
Alright, she's gone. That was way too much to take in. All you need to know is that basically Britain is bigger and better than any other country, economically, geographically, and military-wise.